Hi, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining. We're going to be letting some folks trickle in here, so bear with us for the first few minutes as we let everybody get settled in, logged on, and then we'll jump into things here shortly. Hi, everyone. I see folks trickling in. Those who were first in, you might hear me say this a couple of times as I see more folks joining. But just know we'll get started here shortly. Once everybody's had a chance to get logged in and settled, we'll kick things off. I'll go ahead and get my screen shared as well. Hope everybody's doing great today. During this wait time, I was like, how am I going to entertain everybody while we wait? I thought maybe we could do like a group YMCA, but I realized it's just me on the visual here. So I will spare you today. We'll be jumping into the demo here shortly. Once we get started here, we'll be jumping into looking at the Funraise features, getting a sneak peek of how otherwise are using us, but I won't give away too many spoilers until we get going. I think I'll give it one more minute and then we'll kick things off. This is being recorded and we've got, I'll be following up with some of you all as well if there are additional questions or things like that. So just know that this won't be your only chance to connect with us. But again, thank you all for being here. We're really excited. With that said, I think we've got enough folks here. So I want to go ahead and get things started. Thank you for spending your Thursday with me, pre-Friday, as I like to call it. Just as you may have noticed, we don't have a live chat today, but we do have Q&A open. So as we go through this, if you have any questions, if there's anything that you need more clarity on, don't be shy. Feel free to throw those in there. You will see my colleague Andrew is joining me here to kind of help field those. And then what I'll also do is I will put my a link to my calendar in the chat as well. So if anyone wants to learn more, if you want to strategize, or if what we cover today catches your eye and you want to talk a little bit more about your YMCA or anything specific that doesn't get covered today, I'm available to you. I've been working with a lot of associations lately, so I'd be happy to chat a bit more. And we'll also be sharing a recording of this, the deck as well, so you'll be equipped with a lot of resources once we wrap here as well. But with that said, we can go ahead and jump right in. So today we're looking at a YMCA group demo. Welcome. Really the goal is to give your associations the chance to see Funraise in action, see how some of our other associations are using Funraise. So that way you can kind of get a sneak peek in a low pressure environment and determine if it might be something you want to consider, whether that's for end of year fundraising this year, or even if you're currently in budget season or looking to plan ahead for 2025. Either way, we're excited that you're here and we're excited to get some FaceTime with you. As a quick introduction, my name is Dani. I'm a fundraising strategist and account executive here at Funraise. I've been here for just about 6 years. And I work with nonprofits every day. In particular, have been working very closely with YMCA associations, with the Daxko team. And so I'm really excited to be kind of the liaison here for that. A little bit of background on Funraise in case we're new to you. We are our fundraising software provider for nonprofits. We started out at a nonprofit ourselves. Our founders were working at an organization together fundraising, kind of piecemealing a lot of technology together. And when they wanted something that was more modern, more cohesive, and couldn't find it on the market, they decided to build it themselves about a decade ago. And then just for a little bit of context too, in terms of our partnerships with YMCAs and Daxko, we worked with a handful of YMCAs previously. They were using our tools in conjunction with Daxko, essentially kind of biting the bullet to fill the gaps with fundraising tools and just manually manipulating that data either in spreadsheets or getting it over to Daxko. And the reason for that, of course, is because they saw value in what our tools offered and what we're able to do for their fundraising strategy. So Daxko approached us and asked if we would be open to partnership because they saw what value we're bringing to YMCAs, the gaps that we're able to fill with fundraising strategy, digital fundraising, and quite a few other things that we'll look at today. And for that reason, we've partnered with them to be a fundraising provider for Daxko users. So that's what you're going to learn about today. I mentioned that we work with quite a few YMCAs. That number has significantly increased over the last couple months as we've dove in headfirst into this integration. But just so you're aware, we do work with organizations of all shapes and sizes. Really kind of the common denominator for folks that come to Fundraise that work with us is that they're looking to grow. A lot of the associations that I work with are looking to bridge the gap between members and donors, find a way to convert those. They're looking to grow their online revenue. They're ready to kind of take that leap and build out individual giving, grow their recurring giving, and even do things like peer-to-peer fundraising. So those are some of the key areas that Fundraise helps with growth. And today I'll be pointing out how and why that works, and of course how those YMCAs are using us. But to give you a brief rundown of what typical associations come to Fundraise for, some of the most common needs, so that way you can see if this might resonate with you. Typically, we're looking at folks that are looking to modernize and improve their donor experience. Oftentimes, they're hitting limitations with the Daxko form. They're wanting something that offers more payment methods. So we'll be looking at that today. They're also looking for ways to have really nice campaign pages. You're running your annual campaigns. Maybe you've got some capital campaigns in the works, or maybe you're even doing end of year fundraising or a peer-to-peer fundraiser. So that's a key area that we'll look at today. What goes kind of hand in hand with that is our events and peer-to-peer fundraising. We do work with quite a few associations that use us for that as well. So we'll look at how Fundraise approaches that. Another gap that we're filling is fundraising reporting. Now, we'll talk a bit about the integration, but what I'm hearing so far is, Daxko is quite robust. We're tracking membership, we're tracking programs, we've got our fundraising data in there, but sometimes we're looking for development-specific fundraising reports and analytics. So we'll look at some of the reporting functionality that Fundraise offers that's really helpful for advancement development teams. I'll also mention that we have quite a few Ys that have come to us to reduce manual workload, especially for those that might have already decided to add a third-party provider to their tech stack to help kind of bridge the gap for their online fundraising. Typically in those scenarios, they're using that tool and Daxko in tandem, and there's either manual workload, spreadsheets having to manage data outside of Daxko, and that can be quite cumbersome and frankly time-consuming. So they're coming to Fundraise because that integration is built in creating a seamless pass of data between the two systems. And if I haven't mentioned it enough a few times already, of course, they're coming here because we've got that Daxko integration to help those two systems work together seamlessly. But I want to touch on how that integration works. We'll actually look at it live a bit. But the biggest kind of in a nutshell way to look at this is we're passing transaction and supporter or individual information over to Daxko operations. That, of course, can then flow into any of your other systems like Engage, SGA. But essentially, our goal is to look at Daxko still as your ultimate source of truth when it comes to your comprehensive data. So membership, programmatic elements, and now fundraising. We're able to, of course, match data up with existing members. So you can start to see, oh, great, this is a member that's now a donor. I can see all that underneath their profile. And this is done automatically, of course, to make life ideally easier for you all. To give you a sense of how some of our YMCAs are using us, and we'll look at some live examples here in a moment. One of those is that we'll look at today is the YMCA of Greater Long Beach. They have 5 branches that use our system, and they've seen significant growth over the last 4 years that they've been in partnership with us. They've more than doubled their growth. So really exciting. We're happy to have them as a customer. In fact, they've been quite crucial in offering feedback with this integration. We'll also look at Gaston County YMCA and how they're using Funraise as well. Know that they are also seeing growth, even in just 1 year, they're hitting 80% growth with us. So if you haven't noticed, there's a pattern here of YMCAs that are using systems like ours to really grow digital fundraising. So if more fundraising revenue, diverse fundraising revenue is on your mind, you're in the right place. And then just as kind of an overarching view of Funraise and what we offer, here's a nice visual. What we'll be focusing on today is kind of the fundraising experience. So things that fall under this fundraise category that the donor would be engaging with: forms, sites, peer-to-peer events. Some of those key areas that I mentioned are really important to our associations. And then we'll also look at some of the reporting functionality that's important and helpful as well. But with that said, you're probably hoping to actually see some things in action, and that's really what we're here for. So we're going to start with the donation experience. What does it look like if I'm a donor giving on a fundraise form? We'll make our way towards some customer examples and then look at the back end, that reporting functionality that I mentioned as well. But like I said, feel free to throw questions in the chat as we're going through this. And again, if you're interested, want to learn more, want to chat, didn't feel like you had enough time to get all your questions in, I've got that link shared as well where you can go in and we could schedule a follow-up call as well. And to clarify, I think I said chat, that's old habit, but in the Q&A section. But up first, just want to talk about the giving experience with Funraise. So I want to point out first and foremost that our forms are embedded directly into your site. So as we see oftentimes with Daxko forms that redirect to a Daxko page, the difference here will be that a Funraise form will be embedded directly into your site, no change in redirection, no change in URL, and full customization in terms of branding. This page here, we've got a ton of examples of how you might want to set that up on your site, whether you want it placed, whether you want, a button to follow you as you read a blog, something like that. But one I'll point out that's, one of my favorite setups is impact, spelling out why we're asking for gifts and what unique giving amount actually would provide. I point this one out in particular because especially with membership organizations, we're already asking for membership dues. How do we also contextualize the fact that we're still asking for donations and maybe why they might be compelled to give that? Now, of course, I know we're not talking trees at your association, but you'll see this in action on some of our WISE sites, but I want to point that out there first. But regardless of where you set it up, how many buttons you have, what story you're telling, typically the donation experience is going to open up to a form like this. Now on this form, you can customize the branding, the design, you put your logo here. One-time and monthly donations tend to be most common, but we can turn on quarterly, annually, weekly options as well. We do have really smart fundraising tools as well that are backed by machine learning and AI. One of the first ways you'll see that is through the ask string. So basically what we can do is take historic giving patterns of a donor, or if they're a returning donor, and then even if they're new, we can take external factors like time of day or device they're using to display a gift array that makes the most sense for that particular donor. The goal there being conversion. We're seeing a 50% conversion when donors interact with our forms, which is phenomenal in the space. So, our goal is that if a donor comes and engages with your form, that they have a way to complete that and that it's personalized to their giving history. You'll also be able to add things like allocating towards certain funds or programs. I see this used in a variety of ways with our associations. One, it could be used to allocate funds towards certain branches. If you've got a central hub and you want people to be able to give towards their local branch, or even kind of taking a step inwards a bit, could also be towards programs. Maybe we want to give towards camp or towards the aquatic center. You've got options there as well. Some additional options that you can add: comments. Our clients love our dedication portion. People can give an honor, in memory, or inspired by, and fire off a nice little dedication email right here from the form itself. We do also integrate with Company Match for automated company match here with Double the Donation. Basically, the way this works is Double the Donation has, I think it's like over 20,000 companies in their database that will match their employees' gifts. And so this is a live search bar into that database. You can see I've searched a few today, but if I'm a donor looking for my company, I can go in here and start typing my company. Let's just say I do work at Home Depot. I can see that populates here. That tells me as a donor, awesome, my company is going to match. Our partnership with Double the Donation is such that they handle all the next steps. So employment verification, getting a check sent your way. This is a really great way to maximize your online fundraising. And what's great about it too is if you're a small team, or even a large team, it's hands off. So all you have to do is set this up on your form. And a lot of donors don't know that their company matches. Having this on the form and part of the giving experience, we see a lot higher opt-in, a lot of that curiosity of people checking to see and then completing that matched gift. Now, from here, another kind of smart tool that we have as part of our form is our recurring upsell. The way this feature works is if a donor gives $100 or less as a one-time donation, we're actually going to suggest a lesser amount, but on a recurring basis. What we've seen is that, even with monthly turned on here, having the donor have a beat and be able to take a moment to consider a lesser amount on a recurring basis, we're seeing a really high opt-in there. So it's a great way to capture that recurring gift right away. Now, of course, you're going to get great reporting with Funraise. You'd be able to pull reports of folks that maybe have given more than once but aren't a true recurring donor, or maybe people that might have a high propensity to be a recurring donor. But this is a nice way to capture it right off the bat. Give that donor the opportunity to give on a monthly basis and start building some really reliable revenue streams. From here, you of course can ask custom questions. Those can be a drop-down pick list. That could be an open field. We could even capture a date field as well. And then something you'll probably be excited about too is we do have a wide variety of payment methods. So card, ACH or e-check, PayPal, Venmo. We can accept Apple Pay. We can accept online stock donations. We can do crypto. Our goal is if someone has money and they want to give it to you, that you have a way to accept it in whatever form that comes in. So know that that's going to really broaden your horizons in the way that people can give to you. And then last thing here, I'll point out, of course, we can accept institutional gifts, so you can certainly turn that ability on. We do work with Google Maps just to pre-fill addresses, makes it nice and easy for your donors. More importantly, as we're passing data over to Daxko, it also just means we're mitigating human error, that it's spelled correctly, formatted in the right way. And then if I were to get distracted, maybe leave your site, want to come back again another day, we do have an abandoned cart feature. If you've ever shopped online, you're probably familiar with this, but now we're of course bringing that over to the nonprofit space for the better good to help donors be able to pick up their gift right where they left off. But those are our donate buttons. In addition to donate buttons, we do also have ticket forms. So we work with quite a few associations that are are selling tickets for events, that are wanting to do free registrations for events and just capture donor info, that are wanting to sell sponsorships. These are really flexible and tie really nicely to your event. So you can sell tickets, you can, cap how many tickets someone can purchase at once. We can fill out guest information at time of registration, or even ask some custom questions again. And then the other thing I'll point out is you can turn on an optional donation at time of registration as well. So really helpful, depending on the nature of the event, to allow a donor to do that. So those are our donate and ticket buttons, again, typically embedded directly into your site. That said, I mentioned that a lot of associations come to us looking for the ability to create a landing page. Maybe they want something specific for their event, or more importantly, annual campaigns. So we also offer that as well. You might see them called fundraising websites, campaign sites, microsites. But what you're looking at here are templates that we provide out of the box. They make it really easy for someone to go in and create their own page. So they're really plug and play. We're going to look at a few live examples here of some of our customers, and then we'll actually build one together. But think of these as great use cases for, like I mentioned, your annual campaign, capital campaigns, an event landing page. Maybe you want something with, a live progress bar to track, how you're pacing, or, this is also where our peer-to-peer functionality lives as well. So wanted to show you, I mentioned YMCA of Long Beach. They have, quite a few branches that are using us. Here is one of those branches, their annual campaign for this year. I want to point out a few things that I really like about this page. In particular, of course, the branding and design, very unique to their organization. They make some great uses of, some of the pre-built tools on these pages. So live progress bar, they are super close to hitting their annual goal, so that's exciting here. They are leveraging recent and top donations, so a little bit of fun engagement here, keeping things fun. And then they're also doing that impact giving. So, they're spelling out, hey, why would we want to give this much? Again, telling their members, telling their potential donors how and why this would make an impact. And then, of course, they're building out some more information about their why, totally configurable to your design. But from here, they're also doing peer-to-peer. One of my personal favorite ways of fundraising. In this case, they're leveraging it in conjunction with their annual campaign, but this can be used in a variety of ways. Some folks like to have this running year-round for anybody that might want to give at any time, maybe their birthday, maybe they want to give back to the Y in honor or memory of someone. But either way, it's a really great way to leverage folks that want to give back to your organization, and also allow them to essentially expand your audience. So as you can see here, they've got individuals that have created their own pages. I've seen folks that maybe haven't done this before start with, their board members or their campaigners. But basically what they can do here is create their own page, share why they care about your why. Bonus points for uploading, their own photos or videos to their appeal. And then, of course, they can share that with their community. In this case, YMCA of Long Beach now has access in an audience with 39 new donors that perhaps maybe they wouldn't have, had a direct line of communication to without, in this example, Nate here fundraising. And then, of course, with all of this peer-to-peer, you get to take advantage of all the great bells and whistles that come with a fundraise form. We can see, how much of our gift is attributing to this goal. It's easy for these fundraisers to share on social. And if you're already doing Facebook fundraising, we actually have a Facebook integration as well, where we can sync up those fundraisers, reconcile those gifts automatically. And that even extends to Instagram today too. So if you're looking to broaden your scope, whether it's just allowing folks to fundraise on your behalf, broadening your audience, your individual donor base, or expanding things on social, highly recommend peer-to-peer fundraising. And then just to give you some looks at some of our other YMCA clients, and just, the variety and what you can see here with these pages. Again, similar setup, but obviously different why, different messaging. So, these are really meant to be your own. and they can display in a variety of ways. So super nice to see here. You can incorporate videos on these pages. We have folks that live stream on these pages, you name it. Some nice impact tiles here as well. But usually at this point, if you were able to chime in audibly, you'd probably say, "Well, Dani, how do I build these? This is hard. I've got a small team," or, I'm not a web designer, and well, you're in luck. Neither am I. That is not why I was hired at Funraise, but I find these really easy to build. So taking a quick peek behind the curtain here, we're looking at our site builder. So if you've ever built anything on Squarespace or Wix, it's going to function very similar. You can see as I hover over every component here, really easy just to go in and plug in your own images, your logos, make it your own, just to show you how that looks here. I'll plug in YMCA logo. Maybe we want to change the background image. Again, these are really configurable. I'm able to do this while on a demo, while talking. So know that, with some concentration, you'd be able to do the same. So super easy to go in and do. We can get down to, exact hex codes to match the particular brand, hex codes and design. If this were a time-bound campaign, you can have things like a progress, or sorry, a timer here. We do have the progress bar, which I mentioned as well. Or if you're running this year round and maybe we don't want to have a countdown, you can always pick and pull from here. And then if I click the plus sign here, I can add more components like text or impact tiles, like we've discussed a bit, images, videos, like I mentioned, fundraising components. So you've seen the progress bar, you've seen the donor scroll. If you really want to lean into competition, maybe you're doing a golf event or something where it's inherently a bit competitive. You can even pull your top fundraisers to the front page, and that's going to update automatically as well. And then I'll mention too, if you're on this call and you're like, hey, I'm actually great at custom CSS or HTML, more power to you. And the good part is we have open HTML blocks. We expose the header code injection. So if you want to do anything custom, you certainly can as well. We've kind of got you covered on all ends of the spectrum there. But this is a really common use case for our Ys. As you can see, got quite a few live, even right now. And that's just a handful that I selected for today's call. So that's a crucial component, the giving forms, those campaign pages, the ability to run events. You could also have this landing page for an event. I'll also mention too that some of our associations are using our SMS engagement tool. We can send SMS to, you can send out SMS from our system. We can also send automated emails to peer-to-peer fundraisers. What we typically see is that a peer-to-peer fundraiser that raises within the first 14 days are the most successful. So we'll send out notifications, if they haven't raised any funds, hey, here's some tips and tricks to get started. And even on the flip side of the coin, we can, update them if they're halfway to their goal or kind of encourage them along the way. These are automated, so you're not having to go in and do this one by one. But the nice part is it's going to keep people engaged. It's the reason that you're seeing, such high numbers on those clients that I showed you today. And in addition to that, we also have, the ability to leverage things like ChatGPT to automate fundraiser appeal text. So there's just a lot of ways that we're equipping our clients with modern technology to kind of meet the needs that we're experiencing here in 2024 and beyond. But that covers about everything I wanted to show on like the donor facing side, the engagement side. I want to shift gears here and take a quick peek at the back end of Funraise. Now, as a reminder, we're integrating with Daxko. So Daxko is going to be your ultimate source of truth when it comes to all your comprehensive data. But like I mentioned, some development or advancement teams find it really helpful to be able to access their own fundraising specific reports, be able to go in and build those easily, and not have to, basically just have autonomy over that. So within Funraise, when you log in, you'll be able to see some dashboards here. So these are pre-built. If you're coming from existing systems or even just Daxko, we can pull in your historic data so that these are populated with existing data, so you can actually start to use these right away. And what you're looking at here is donation activity overall. We're looking at the last 90 days. I can drill down all the way up to yesterday. So, if a board member calls in, hey, how are we doing towards the year? Super easy. Great. I can pull that up. Even things like retention reports, being able to track, lapsed donors or determine, hey, I've got a list of low-hanging fruit of folks I need to re-engage with. We can provide you with that. And same goes the year-over-year performance. So really nice to have this at your fingertips. We'll look at some of our more advanced reporting as well, but here on the left-hand side is our menu. I'm going to kind of start top to bottom. But again, chime in if you have questions, schedule a call if you want to learn more. Transactions, of course, pretty straightforward, but anything that comes through a fundraise form will automatically push here. So any donation, if you get a registration, if someone gives towards a peer-to-peer fundraiser, those will land here. If you are receiving offline donations, someone wrote a check or brought cash, you can always log a new transaction here. You can select your payment method, can fill out any details around that particular transaction. I'll point out some helpful things too. You could tie it to a supporter in a giving form. So if you want to send off an email receipt, you can do that. You can also, tie any dedication details, but one thing I'll flag too is you can add it to a page goal. So if someone did send, a check-in, they want to give it towards Dani's fundraiser, great, you can go in and credit that so it gets added to that thermometer. Or maybe we know they just want to give towards the annual fund. You can make sure it shows up there as well. One nice thing too is you can also soft credit these. So, if you have campaigners that need to be credited for that, any board members, anything like that, you can soft credit those gifts. That's how you can log them one-off. You can also import via CSV. So if you have a handful of gifts that are coming in, super easy to go in and do that as well if you don't want to do them one by one. But under transactions, if you're wanting to run quick queries or anything like that, you can do that through filters. It's a super intuitive process as a way to kind of segment data. So, in this case, I don't know, maybe you want to see all donations that are above or equal to $1,000. And I don't know, we'll add another, let's just say, we'll keep this pretty broad. This is dummy data, but we'll say last year. I can go in and apply that. I could get more specific. I could add another filter if I needed, but anytime I can filter or segment data like this, I can export that out via CSV. Maybe I have someone that's going to write some handwritten thank you cards. I could save this list if this is something I'm referencing on a regular basis. This then would become kind of a living, breathing list where any gifts that come in within the parameters that I've set would get added to it. Or also, I mentioned that SMS engagement, you can send text messages out. You also have the ability to do text to give as well and have text come inwards, two-way text. So you've got some options there as additional ways to steward and engage with your donors or members. Now, supporters are going to look very similar to your transactions, but now we're referencing the individuals. So here you can see a list of all your supporters, just like under transactions. There's a wide variety of data points that we can start segmenting by. So if you need to run a quick list, a quick query, this is an easy way to do that. And again, just like under transactions, I could export that list, I could save it, I could text message from here as well. But let me show you a supporter's profile. So under a supporter's profile, of course, all your standard contact information is going to live here. So addresses, you can have primary or even secondary addresses. We do have the notion of households. So if you have spouses or folks that are within the same household, you can keep tabs of them as individuals, but them also as a household, which can be helpful for reporting, for mailers, things like that. Communication preferences live here. And one thing I'll point out that's a little more unique is we do have the ability to tag. So we can tag donors, we can tag or supporters, we can tag donations. Those can either be done manually. Maybe we know this person is interested in our aquatics program, I could filter that. Anytime we have a fundraiser around that, maybe I'll engage with them. Or we can also automatically tag based on a form that they're coming through. So we can hard code a tag to a form so that they can automatically get added to that segment. And then here on the left-hand side is all the historic information about this donor. So right at your fingertips, you'll be able to see previous transactions they've made, any of their recurring donations, events they may have registered for, did they attend, questions they may have answered on a form. Great. I know that they need a t-shirt for their event. Let's make sure to filter that. Even interactions too. So if this is someone that maybe you've engaged with on the phone or have had an in-person meeting with, all of that can be tracked here so that, of course, you're not stepping on each other's toes, or, you can be sure to mention, your top donor's dog each time you meet with them. But in addition to that, other things that I'll point out, you can log notes. So if there was something that wasn't an interaction that you wanted to keep tabs on, you can do that. You can track relationships of folks, outside of just households. You can track, how they're connected with the rest of your community. You can even add attachments if there's any physical files you need to keep on record here. Now, another thing that a lot of our clients appreciate is the ability to have automated tasks. So the way this works is if something happens in Fundraise and I want to be notified of it, I can set a rule to do just that. So, we could use the same example that we used earlier. Anytime there's a gift over $1,000, I've assigned that to my colleague to make a phone call. I can assign it to myself, I can assign it to team members, but it's just a really great way to make sure things don't slip through the cracks. It can be as actionable as this. You can also set up notifications in your settings to just notify you of different gifts or different activities that are happening within Fundraise. Now, chugging right along here, I want to jump into our intelligence module. I mentioned that the dashboards that you see when you log in are kind of inherent. They're going to come as is, but we do also have more advanced reporting and analytics living in our intelligence module. So here is where you can go in and actually, well, let me back up just a second. So here we actually have pre-built dashboards and reports that are most common for our clients. Those are going to be things like donation activity, live Bunty reports. But what I like about these is not only does it come pre-built, so you've already got some really awesome dashboards and reports, but you can also build your own, whether that's just by, adding additional filters. I usually like to start by, duplicating an existing report or dashboard and then making it my own, but you can also go in and create your own dashboard from scratch as well. So this is really where you're going to have the most flexibility to create your particular dashboards. If you're a YMCA that has multiple branches underneath them, this is a nice way to track all your branches and then, maybe either have the aggregate data in one report, compare them side by side, ton of ways that you can do this. But a few things I'll point out in terms of what I like about these features. First and foremost, looks pretty nice. It's pretty savvy. It is interactive, so I can drill down into a specific state. Hello, if anyone's from Texas here today, we can drill down into particulars there. Now I'm just looking at data from Texas. I can export these via PDF. So, these are really helpful if you need to have any presentations internally. And then you can even, if there's something you're reporting on a regular basis, you do have the ability to schedule these to land in yours or even a colleague's inbox so that maybe you're doing a weekly or daily reconciliation report, just have that scheduled to land in your inbox, make life easy for you. Now, again, you can still do all your reporting in Daxko, just use Funraise to build some of those front-end components, but I want to just show you everything that falls underneath our umbrella that is applicable to YMCAs. Some other dashboards that our clients love are peer-to-peer intelligence, so being able to track how your peer-to-peer is performing. If you need to take action because something's off, hey, why are we having a downswing? Let's take immediate action. You can do that. We can, of course, lean into what did we do, here at this time that was so successful. So really nice to have these types of images at your fingertips. I mentioned reports as well. So things like your LiBunty and SciBunty reports are pre-built. If you're bringing that historic data in here too, we can, of course, populate those for you. And if we have any marketing folks on the call too, and you're wanting to know where are your gifts coming from? Where should we be spending more ads? We have a lot of clients that will track marketing performance in the intelligence module as well. So, in this case, looks like we should definitely be leaning into email, Facebook, maybe, hold off on some Instagram spend there. So just really nice to be able to start looking at the data overall in ways that are intuitive, and also be able to make strategic decisions about your organization and the next steps that you'll be taking. Now, you saw our giving forms, again, really configurable. The thing I'll point out on our forms, outside of just the settings, is the receipt is totally configurable. So you can determine who it's coming from. The content is a blank canvas. You can use merge tags to personalize those. And what's nice is, you can have as many donation buttons as you'd like. So, if someone's giving to the general campaign, the language might be different than if they gave towards your capital campaign. You can customize that so that the experience is unique, that you can kind of drive donor behavior or build relationships that way as well. Now, I'm going to touch briefly on our email campaigns. I know a lot of our Daxko users are using Engage. That's great. The nice part is, since our data flows to operations, it's going to flow really nicely into Engage as well. I pointed out those peer-to-peer emails. Those are really critical for our peer-to-peer users. So know that that's available to you. Another one that our clients find really helpful is our expiring recurring donor drip. So what I'll say is, this is actually our second line of defense. We update credit cards the same way Netflix and Amazon does, which is automatic. So most of the time, donors don't need to take any action. Their gift will continue as normal, and there's no disruption to the recurring gift. If for some reason we can't capture that automatically, maybe they bank with a really small bank or have changed banks entirely, in those cases, you'll be able to send out an automated email that will notify them, and they can go in and update it themselves. Really, the goal here is that, one, you're not experiencing donor churn due to expired card, and two, your team is not having to pick up the phone and try and chase these donors down. We know those phone calls are never fun, and there's probably better things you could be doing with your time. Third email that we do offer today is our welcome series. So 3 emails that go out within the first 21 days of a donor giving. With all of these, they're totally configurable. They're preset here like this. You would just go in and make it your own. And if, say you have something like that built in Engage, or just for your awareness, we do integrate with things like MailChimp and Constant Contact as well. You can always turn these on or off as you see fit. And as a little bit of sneaky knowledge too, we will be rolling out email marketing within Funraise as well. So, that could be something to consider if you're in the market there. Now, you saw our campaign sites. Again, configurable, easy to build. You'll also be able to manage your events here. So if you're an association that hosts several events throughout the year, you'll be able to keep tabs on those. Right here, you can manage your registrants here. Now, this is one way to mark people attended. We also have an app and can generate QR codes, and you can scan people in through our app. Just like under transactions and supporters, we can filter this information. Maybe I need to see everybody for a particular event or a particular ticket type. And then with that, I, of course, can export that out. I could send a text message, hey, golfers, tea time is at 8, be there at 7:30. We can't wait to see you. Lots of ways to use that. And one thing I'll also mention too is we do have auction functionality. So if you're an association that does auctions or is interested in auctions, we can host silent auctions on our pages as a great way to leverage your event fundraising as well. But that about covers it on functionality on the Funraise side. I do also just want to touch briefly on the integration. So bear with me as I am not a Daxko user on a day-to-day basis, but what I will say is, like I mentioned, our information is passing over automatically, supporter and transaction data, to Daxko. It updates every 30 minutes, so pretty instantaneous. When you go into Daxko, and let's see if it makes me log in. Yes, if you're a Daxko user, I'm learning this now that that you do have to log in quite a few times. That is good. It's good for security. Trickier for webinars. But when you log in here, you'll be able to, of course, manage your online donations. You'll be able to see, where that gift is coming from. So in this case, we can see that gifts are coming from Fundraise. That's going to be helpful for reconciliation purposes. And then also, you're able to go in and, track your campaigns. So you can go in and manage your campaigns. I already have, a test demo Fundraise campaign tied here. I can go in and, see how we're progressing. Of course, I can do this on the Fundraise side as well, but nice to see that synced over. I can manage those individual donations. And then also what I'll say is, we can match data. So if someone that donates is already an existing member or donor or is already in your system, we'll be able to sync those up. If for some reason the system is uncertain, you'll have the opportunity to go in and say, actually, yes, go ahead and merge these two, or no, create a new unit. Again, the goal here is to have all your data in one place, fundraising, programs, membership, and be able to still take advantage of the improvements on the fundraising side as well. But that's about it in terms of what I was going to mention. I see there's a question there about donations being matched to donor records. Yes, so those will automatically get matched over. If there's a donor or member record in Daxco, so long as we're able to match on the variety of data points, it's going to be first name, last name, email, contact information there to be able to sync that up. And then if there were, for any reason, maybe they used a different email or something, but Daxco can see, okay, it looks like this is a match. They'll give you the opportunity to go in and confirm that or create a new unit. But that about covers it in terms of what I wanted to go over today. There's more certainly that we could go into, and I know there's been active questions there too. I shared my link in the chat if you do want to meet or discuss anything further or just strategize. I'm happy to make myself available to you. That link is just for a quick 20-minute introductory call. We can go from there. But also, if anyone has any interest in this or wants to learn more, I will also follow up via email to you all too. So that way you have my contact information. We can connect further or determine, when might be a good time to consider this. Really, our goal is to empower your associations to raise more, to have a greater impact on your communities, and ultimately do it without breaking the bank, just so you're aware, because I don't want to leave you hanging in terms of price, and that's something we could dig into more. We have quite a few different plans, but our plans start at $5,000 a year. We don't charge for number of records or number of users. It's really just based on features and what you need. So again, if you want to learn more, schedule some time. I'd be happy to meet, and I appreciate you making some time today. We're that much closer to Friday. And we are offering some promotional discounts for Daxco users this month. So, raise your hand if this is exciting to you. But thank you all again. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and don't hesitate to reach out, add me on LinkedIn, shoot me an email, use my link, whatever it might be. I see some questions coming through here, so we'll make sure everything gets answered, and then we'll wrap things up. And don't be surprised if you see a quick hello from me, maybe next week, thanking you for attending and offering any insight if that's helpful. Oh, and Dory, I saw your question. I can go ahead and answer that live. Starts at $5,000 annually. We do have some promotions going on for Daxko users, so be happy to meet with you and discuss that further. And then I think, Andrew, you typed an answer there about two-way integration. That certainly sounds like it is something that's in the works, but what the reports will be helpful for is, we can bring in that historic data so that you can still look at that overarching information there. And again, Dory would be happy to chat with you, explore that a little bit more, provide a bit more clarity if needed. But wonderful. I think we've got all our open questions answered. We'll go ahead and wrap things up. Thank you all again, and don't be strangers. Have a great day.